Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 359 of the Chronological Read Through the Bible. Today, we're primarily looking at 2nd and 3rd John. These are both just really, if I say one chapter, books, and they are both uniquely written to individuals. 2nd John is primarily written to a woman of the church. Now, these letters are for the church body at great, but they originally were penned to one particular individual to have that heart in mind. And then when we come to 3rd John, it's written primarily to one beloved brother in the church who's undergoing various difficulties. And 3 individuals are mentioned, and they each have different perspectives of the Christian life, if you will. So we're going to look at this just briefly. As I say, this is when John's aged. We believe that 2nd and 3rd John were written long before 1st John, but he still was an older gentleman at this time. So at this point, when we look at the first couple of verses here, verses 4 through 6, it's really speaking of practicing truth, a believer practicing out their faith in truth. And so it's having that reputation of walking in the Lord's truth, in His way, and to be sturdy in what you believe, to study out what you believe, to be secure in that. And he's intermingling here love. Notice how many times he does address love in conjunction with the practice of truth. So walking in the light is a concept which he produces here, really coming back from even 1st John, having that walk in the light of Christ. So it also kind of gives us that picture of children loving their parents also in 2nd John here. And then the next part, so as I said, the first part is speaking of practicing the truth. The next part here is actually protecting the truth. John here is addressing false teachers. Again, I think of how many people today will say, well, we are a New Testament church. And it's like, well, no, whoa, folks, there was a lot of issues taking place with the New Testament church. A lot of false teachers were creeping in. So when we sometimes think of false teachers today, some people don't like to discuss them. They don't like to address it or even point out saying this person is teaching false doctrine. Well, the apostles had no problem pointing that out. The early church fathers had no problem pointing out the false doctrines or teachings which had come into the church. So we need to stand firm. He addresses 3 different types of even false doctrine. First, he was addressing those who come in and deceive the church. Then he's talking about those who come in to destroy the church. And then those who come in and to really pull others away, to depart from the faith altogether. And I believe that those who are departing are people who didn't have the faith in the first place, but they're leaving having, in a sense, we had this in another verse of Scripture, but those who have come and tasted and experienced the gospel, but not brought it into their lives. And they say, we sampled this, we didn't really like it, and they walk away. So that's a part of what we have there in that second part of 2nd John. And then in 3rd John, as I say, it was written to a member of the local body, and this person had a number of problems which John is addressing here, but he discusses 3 different men. The first, Gaius, meaning a prosperous Christian. So we are to thank the Lord and to focus on Gaius. John uses the word beloved 4 times in referring to Gaius. So Gaius was obviously someone who there was a great love for. So John has a great respect for Gaius there. And then Diotiphorus is a picture of a proud Christian. This is kind of that person that in some ways you could do without. And I know that sounds a little harsh, but even some of my commentaries just point blank say, this is a church member that you could do without. So he wanted to be the leader, the boss of the church. He wanted to control everybody, really even control what people's belief systems were, how people were acting, how people were responding to their generalized faith. But then we still have this thought, this principle that in our lives, we must decrease so that the Lord may increase. I still say every year you should look back on your life, on your Christian walk, and see where you have died more and allowed Christ to live more. And yet, this Diotiphorus does not have that mindset. His mindset is we need to be famed. We need to name the ministry after ourselves. Now, I know I step on some toes when I bring that up, because there's a number of ministries out there where people named it to themselves. But I'm so leery of that. I just, it always bothers me, because the ministry is not about an individual. And, you know, it's really a ministry that you need to be able to pass on or hand it over to somebody else. And if I'm long gone and dead, it serves no purpose, a ministry having my name to it. If you notice over all these videos, I never even mention my name. It's not to be in hiding, but it's because these videos aren't about me. And so Diotiphorus would have been somebody that would have made sure that he was mentioning his name over and over again. Just a part of the picture that we have there, and a part of what John really wants to warn the church about and wants us to be on guard for. And then Diotiphorus, I hope I'm pronouncing these right, he's the pleasant Christian. And it's more of a refreshing person. So he's the kind of person who you could follow, it's telling us. He's the kind of person to copy and mimic in your Christian life. The one who should be a benchmark in some ways for your Christian walk with the Lord. So he had a good report from the saints and from even the Word following the Scriptures. And it says you could test his life by the Bible and it would pass the test. I hope that if my life is tested, or when it is tested by the Scriptures, that it passes the test. And the only way it's going to really pass the test is if you're in the Word and you know how to live. You need to know the truth. The truth's going to set you free, but the truth is going to put your feet on the right path. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope your day's going well. Until tomorrow, God bless.